Hi, hello, and welcome to everyone out there, my friends. Thank you for joining us on this Friday for another Stormwind Studios webinar. I'm really glad that you could join us. Happy holidays to everyone out there. I see that we've got quite a few people live in the chat joining us. I really appreciate that. If you have any questions for me at all during the webinar, please reach out. Feel free to engage. If I don't necessarily see your chat, there's definitely a lot of fantastic people behind the scenes willing to answer your questions and point you in the right direction. All right, good to see everybody. So we're ready to get started. Let's make it happen. So, no, of course, my team, they're like, did we check everything? Of course I did. But was I sharing my screen? No, I was not. Now we're ready. And now that that embarrassment's out of the way, we're ready to rock and roll. So let's try again. Mastering security automation, elevating your cybersecurity defenses. Listen, if we don't get ourselves together with mastering these trivial things in our cybersecurity, it's going to end up costing millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I want to be serious about that because predicted in the year 2023, cybercrime is going to cost $8 trillion. To put that in perspective, right? Cyber attacks, 2,200 per day. That equals 39 seconds. A cybercrime is happening on average. Data breaches have increased 15% over the last 3 years. 8 trillion. I mean, that number is absolutely insane. I can't even fathom what that number looks like. Phishing attacks has gone up quite significantly just simply because of the advances in generative AI and the ability to take emails and take phishing attempts and make them more human-like, make the reading more seem like it came from somebody like a CEO, especially in spear phishing attempts. So the sophistication of phishing attempts has increased a lot. Ransomware, the average cost of a ransomware attack is somewhere between $5.13 million and upwards. It's only going up 13% higher than last year. And then our malware is the #1 common type of cyber attack these days. There's new pieces of malware being discovered every single day, upwards of 560. So over 500,000 new malware. It's kind of crazy. So what can we do about it? We need to transition away from some of these manual security tasks. A lot of these things that are being handled by your tier 1 security analysts in your SOC, and what's happening is they're getting bogged down. So a lot of the things that we're seeing is that cyber analysts and your security people and your defenders and your blue teamers are overwhelmed. And one of the things that they're overwhelmed by are those false positives that they're getting in a lot of their alerting software and different, vendors and configurations that they have. Whatever is sending alerts to their SIEM, their Security Incident and Event Manager. The devastation of human error is really causing the most significant of the vulnerabilities and the breaches in security posture that are leading to these cyber attacks being so easy, costing so much money, causing so much reputational damage and financial damage. Some examples of those human errors is missed alerts and incidents, not only just the false positives and getting bogged down with a bottleneck of alerts that don't really matter, right? But also not being able to get to all the alerts that actually matter, or eliminating some of those true negatives, right? Making sure that we aren't missing actual incidents. Okay, so Inconsistent incident response is another one. If you have several different team members that are not coordinating their incident response, if they don't have an automated playbook, if they don't have that incident response, you know, binder that they can open and refer to with a step-by-step process and procedure and policies on what to do, there's going to be a mixed match response, and that's going to actually lead to inconsistencies and gaps in the security posture of that organization. Delayed patching, not getting to patching your systems, making sure that the vulnerabilities have been eliminated through upgrades, updates, making sure you're checking in with vendors, getting consistent firmware updates to things. Incomplete investigation and documentation, that's another human error example, making sure that you follow through with a lot of your investigation, your change management processes, making sure that they're properly documented. So another human error. Manual data entry. Anytime you have an analyst or just a human being in general sitting down and manually typing in letters and alphanumeric stuff, it's going to be a pain, a bore. It's going to lead to mistakes, and mistakes like that can cost lots of money in the outcome eventually down the road. So just something to think about. And delayed compliance checks is another one. When it comes to auditing, whether it's an internal audit or a third party external audit of your systems and your security configurations and setups and systems, it's hard to cover all your bases when you're going for compliance. It's hard to check your entire organization, especially now where the edge of your organization is sort of gray at the moment. You're losing track of where the cloud begins, where your on-premise network, where the edge of your network is. So a lot to talk about there. The overall message here is that automation is a direct step towards improving your efficiency and your effective, outcomes of your incident response, and a lot of things I'm going to talk about. So first off, what are the core capabilities of SOAR, right? Security Orchestration Automated Response. Well, the number one thing is orchestration. Basically, automated alert triage, response workflows that ensure that every alert is promptly and consistently addressed. That's really what we're looking for, is the reduction of risk of all of our critical threats. When it comes to enabling the creation of standardized and automated incident response playbooks, it ensures consistent and effective responses to security incidents. And then the case management in and of itself, when you start to rely on ticket tracking, assignments, and documentation of incidents, making sure that each step of the investigation and thorough records for analysis and future reference. Having threat intelligence integration and feeds is just the most valuable thing of the tool, in my opinion, because it's what keeps it on the critical edge, keeps it updated, recognizing a lot of these behaviors, these analytics, these signatures, and anything, right? It can be set for a lot of stuff. I'm going to give you quite a few examples as we move forward. That indicator of compromise tracking is another one. The automation itself in SOAR platforms help you to distribute and prioritize tasks based on predefined rules. And you can set these rules to be anything. And all it does is reduces the workload on your security teams, making sure that you're using your resources more effectively. And then overall, with the reporting, the visualizations, the dashboards, we know that our stakeholders love to see those graphs, those pie charts. They want to see the numbers, right? Well, just like SIEM helps you to visualize your data, so does SOAR. You can generate a lot of reporting. Compliance is another one, just analyzing, like I was talking about. You're auditing compliance controls and spitting out a report on that is valuable. Okay, And having it done automatically is even more valuable. So this is SOAR. I just wanted to step one thing at a time and just sort of break down some examples as far as what the capabilities here are. Now, the automated alert triage and enrichment, what I'm talking about there is the intelligence feeds, making sure that we're checking and assessing sender's reputation and email, right? As we can just use email as an example. If we get an alert that says that a sender may be malicious, an automated response is automatically checking the attachments, content analysis of that email, the sender's reputation, and then any relevant information is going to be automatically collected. And that's coming straight from your EDRs or your SIEM, right? And I just wanted to add that in here. Don't forget, you have other tools, and we're going to talk about the integration portion as well on a slide coming up. Now, the automated incident playbook execution is what immediately kicks in after something has been alerted on. And it's based on the severity, the attributes of the alert. And it can be automatically triggered. And some things that can be automatically triggered are email quarantine. Any suspicious email that has something that needs to be isolated from an employee's inbox, that's going to happen immediately. Endpoint investigation, where malware scans, an additional antivirus scan is kicked off. Checking for potential compromise on the endpoint. User awareness checks, if a user has their credentials seemingly being used to log in from another geolocation, user awareness automation can kick in, where a notification is sent to the affected user, essentially informing them of an attempt to use their credentials to log in or an attempt on the phishing email. Security awareness training link saying, hey, this looks like social engineering. Why don't you take a look at this training to better recognize it? And then another one is the ticket creation. And I want to be clear on this one, is just a clear point of investment on time and efficiency is the automated creation of tickets. And as a former SOC analyst and working with defenders and answering the phones and looking at customer response, CRM stuff, and getting tickets, taking those tickets and adding details and then updating those tickets and forwarding them onto the tier 2 team or the tier 3 team or something like that, it takes up a lot of time. And if you can automate that, it's going to happen really quick, and it's going to save your team a lot of they'll be able to work on the important stuff, get to it faster. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so now the containment and eradication is really the automatic notification that an incident is happening. Detailed incident ticket, like I was saying, automatic ticket created that has all of the investigation findings, the analysis of the email content and attachments, and even afterwards, right? The performing of the forensic analysis, investigating affected endpoints, gathering evidence, determining the scope of the overall attack. And then another one is the coordinated response. Communication with your internal team is huge. You want to make sure that, instructions and relevant stakeholders have automated notifications, that communication channels are secure. And one of the things with the coordinated response, and certainly the containment and remediation, are the automatic orchestration. This is where we're getting into that orchestration, which is things like automatic password resets, resetting passwords for affected users, just automatically preventing unauthorized access from the get-go. Endpoint remediation, quarantining, disinfecting, right? Endpoints. We're removing malicious software. We're cleansing it. And then we're going to update block lists. If we have a phishing email, then we're going to add that sender to a block list and any related domains. We're trying to prevent future attacks. And then what really brings the value is that reporting, like I was saying. So any SOAR platform automatically generates reports, logs, documents, actions taken, which is another valuable insight, is that it documents every action that was taken. So in that incident analysis, when you're going through and you're performing that root analysis, when you're taking a look at the security posture improvement, you're refining your playbooks. How did we respond to that incident? Can we do it better next time? So in that root cause analysis, it leads to the after action review. It leads to those lessons learned. And then overall, you can improve on your processes, improve your automatic orchestration and playbooks, like I'm going to talk about here in a minute. And then demonstrating adherence to security regulations and compliance, and performing that gap analysis where my organization is currently with our security posture and where we're trying to be with compliance and where we're trying to be, okay? Where we are currently, where we're trying to be, and then generating a report on that. That helps a lot. SOAR will do this automatically. Now, use cases for security teams. I have a lot of examples here, and I do want to save a little bit of time and not get bogged down with too many, but one of the ones that I really wanted to point out, data loss prevention or data leak prevention. This is a compliance playbook that would really be effective for ensuring that sensitive data is not only protected, but prevented from unauthorized disclosure. So just as an example for DLP, one of the things is that it's going to monitor data flow. So automatically, it's going to not only take a look at encrypted data, encrypted traffic, but it can also redact. So I'll just say redact and encrypt, okay? And with any DLP tool, when you're using a SOAR DLP playbook, it's going to generate an alert and initiate incident response. So it's going to generate compliance reports for that auditing, and it's going to do something like tombstone the user. It's going to pop up an alert. It could possibly replace that document saying that you are in violation of our policy. You know, please report or send an email to so-and-so. So that's just an example for DLP. And I can give you tons more, but I'm just going to write one. Patch management, right? Everybody gets bogged down with patch management, taking a look at being on top, right? Up to date with the latest security patches coming out from vendors is a tough job. Identifying systems with missing patches. Geez, get it out. Prioritizing patches based on severity. That's another one. Instead of having the human element of guessing what you should remediate first, let me do the math on my CVSS score, right? Taking a look at the severity. I can have SOAR just automatically institute the playbook, which will deploy the patches based on severity level, based on the systems it's identified that's simply missing the patches, and it's also going to handle it during non-business hours. The key thing that you're going to see is that with every playbook, a report comes out. There's always a report with every playbook, just to let you know how it did. So some other examples would be user access review. You can do network security compliance. Definitely the incident response stuff. I like to point out that you can use it for key management. In a PKI environment, key management is super important. Okay, sensitive data is properly encrypted. Your web server is up and running and facilitating the, secure HTTPS version of your website. If you've got to make sure that your keys, no matter how they're implemented, are tracked, right? Asset tracking. So SOAR can help you with that. It can monitor encryption status. It can encrypt new data based on policies. It can rotate encryption keys, generate new keys, distribute those keys. It can even update your revocation lists when it gets down to that certificate management. Okay. So audit trail and log management is a huge one, just because auditing is important. SOAR can help you with log management, collecting and centralizing from various sources. And you're probably saying, well, Chris, doesn't my SIEM do that? Well, SIEM doesn't do things automatically. And that's why you got to integrate SOAR with your SIEM. It's going to help you parse and analyze log data. It's going to help you enrich the data by adding some details to it. It's going to help you archive logs securely for the required retention period based on whatever compliance standards you're upholding. And then again, it's going to generate a report demonstrating compliance with logging standards. And then there's notification and communication playbooks that you can get out there, which basically just help generate the reports, help send out the reports to the relevant parties and stakeholders. Is it something that we need to inform our change management board on? Do we need to get together with the management team for the SOC? Do we have to have the chief technical officer informed of this breach? Do we need to get with HR or our media response team to put together a public statement? All of these emails can automatically be generated if you have the proper playbook in place. So let's take a look at some of that. Now, just a follow-up slide where I wanted to point out the values, right? The measurable risk reduction when it comes to implementing SOAR. The number one thing you can probably determine is the fastest possible incident response. And with any type of breach, with any type of cyber attack, the faster that you can get to it, the faster that you can respond to it, will save your company money. Okay, not only financial, but reputational damage, especially when it comes to ransomware attacks, customer data breach and leaks. So limiting the scope of those attacks, limiting the exposure of sensitive or proprietary data. And then we talked at first, right? When it first began, I told you about your security teams are overwhelmed. They're tired. So less fatigue, less burnout, because they're not responding to trivial alerts that don't really matter. They're not generating tickets day in and day out and never actually getting to any of the work because they're bogged down with too much of the management portion of it, right? Going through their emails, going through the tickets. So implementing SOAR can help your security team, your analysts, get back out onto the front lines. Start doing some more of that strategic security posturing. Just making sure that your organization is more efficient altogether. That's what I'm trying to say. So the innovations on the roadmap. So coming up ahead, the expanded use of artificial intelligence and machine learning is really pushing security analytics, as well as the SOAR automations and orchestrations that it can handle. So the playbooks that you can put and are really no limit. And a lot of things are happening with SOAR implementations, especially when it comes, and I'm just going to highlight this line down here, native cloud security posture management. Some of the things that SOAR can do when it comes to your cloud environment is going to be security policy enforcement. When you have cloud security tools, you're enforcing security policies. If you can automatically enforce and remediate security policies, then it's going to help you adhere to those compliance standards and help you stay on top of those cloud environment best practices. Real-time cloud security monitoring is another one, right? SOAR platforms can connect with all of your cloud tools and get real-time data. I can't specify that enough. Continuous real-time data, analyzing that, responding to the potential threats, policy violations in real time. And then what happens is swift action to address it. You have incident response and investigation. It takes it further, right? When you have a playbook, a predefined playbook, it involves isolating effective resources, collecting forensic data, and alerting appropriate personnel. The policy compliance, the multi-cloud environments is another one. So with several cloud providers, you can help streamline the management and the reducing of the risk by making sure that you're implementing best practice configurations, cloud configurations, consistent policies. It can even help you scale, especially when it comes to resource management, load balancing. In the cloud, it's hard to stay on top of that. Any kind of misconfiguration can lead to inefficient use of virtual machines. It can cost you a lot of money. If you have an automated cloud resource configuration management playbook, then you can automatically validate and remediate your configurations. You can have that risk of a misconfiguration extremely reduced, right? Anything that could lead to vulnerabilities can be eliminated quite quickly if you have the proper automation in place. And just coming down the line, we see more and more improvements on third-party integrations with SOAR tools. Functionality is improving, detection capabilities is improving, more threat intelligence feeds and threat intelligence services are stepping up and wanting to partner with SOAR platforms and help them to adapt to this dynamic environment. It's constantly changing. So, what you came for, right? The juicy bits of this webinar specifically is what am I going to do with SOAR? How do I automate things? Well, the answer here is that SOAR comes with a lot of pre-built playbooks, and that's where the value lies. And of course, there's different vendors. There's a lot of different SOAR products out there. Everybody says that theirs is the best. But really, the value is in the pre-built library and common security scenarios that are already covered. Because you can take any playbook and customize it to fit your specific needs. You're trying to automate repetitive tasks. So when we're identifying those things, we're trying to take a look at what that would include when it comes to things like incident response. So an automated task for incident response would be the automatic triage alerts, data collection, enriching data, launching a playbook, executing containment actions, so the quarantining. And then if we're talking about an automated task regarding log management, it's automatic log parsing, the aggregation and correlation of logs surrounding an anomaly. So whenever there's an alert or a kickoff for anomaly detection, it's going to get that aggregated, correlated log parsing out of the way, so your analyst is stepping up to bat and has a clear view of the ball, basically, if you love baseball references. And then compliance reporting, automated report generation, especially for submitting to a regulatory body and being compliant in general. Having that automated reporting saves time, and it's accurate. There's no guesswork. There's no fault in human data entry. So when we identify, oh, here's a big one. Here's a big one. Everybody's going to love this one, right? Whenever you have a new hire, or whenever you fire somebody, or they quit or retire, you have to have somebody on the help desk team come in, create their account, create their permissions, add them to a group, make sure that they're got their chat on, and do this and do that, blah, 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 right? And then again, when they're fired or they quit or they retire, you have to make sure that you disable multi-factor authentication, reset their password, remove their token access, make sure that they're locked in Active Directory and directory services, right? All those important things and bases that you have to cover. Well, if you have an automated playbook that just handles it for you and makes no mistakes with user account creation, access management, your authorization and authentication activities, right? That is huge. That's a huge one. So when I say integrate, 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 okay? And, well, I skipped one. Developing custom playbooks. What I mean by developing custom playbooks is start small, okay? Start small. You start automating the simple things. And then as your automation gets more sophisticated, you get better at it, then you start adding things. You start making more automated specific tasks and workflows. You start tackling more complex and unique security scenarios. Okay, so the developing of the custom playbooks takes time and experience and skill. I say integrate, integrate, integrate. It's because SOAR is, as we move forward, everybody is trying to take a piece of this pie and get a bite out of the profits coming down the line with SOAR platforms. So they're trying to get ahead of the market by saying that their tool is the best for integrating with SOAR. So you're going to see SIEMs and endpoint detection and response tools. You're going to see firewalls. You're going to, even vulnerability scanners, automated and manual vulnerability scanners, will say that they will integrate with SOAR through data collection, the data enrichment, even some of those action, like the execution of actions across your entire security stack. And then APIs, when it comes down to integrating, you can't do any kind of sophisticated and integration and build custom solutions without allowing application access. So I would just say it facilitates the integration. And it allows for the more sophisticated responses, especially with the actual execution of some of your automated actions. Setting up the triggers is important. This is a fine-tuning process. It takes a lot of trial and error, and not really, starting from scratch. you want to refer to those pre-built playbooks, making sure that you can copy some of those triggers that do work and have them fit your specific business needs, your predefined events and conditions. What are the specific alerts that you want, right? Received. What escalating incidents, what severity level is important? Making sure that those automated remediation tasks are ready to go after a trigger, an alert happens. Do all the actions happen properly as expected? So that takes this last step. With any kind of implementation of security products in your environment, it takes testing and it takes refinement and it takes those lessons learned, right? Those after action reviews. What happened? How did it happen? What did we do and how did it perform? Did it perform as expected? So you monitor and refine your automation. You go back to the chalkboard and rewrite your playbooks, or you fix that command, or you make sure that API isn't broken. You know, all of these integrations. And right now, and it's only a couple years old. So as it goes down the line here, and I'm going to show you some return on investment numbers to show how valuable it is, a lot of companies are going to step up to start offering some of this integration that I'm talking about. So, I'm repeating this, but it matters. Faster response times is a huge benefit. Improved accuracy and consistency. Reducing the workload for your teams. Automation frees up analyst time and helps them to get back to the things like threat hunting and in actually investigating incidents and breaches and doing root cause analysis. It helps with enhanced visibility and control, meaning that you have a centralized platform where you can manage incidents and just overall improve your security posture. And SOAR really steps up when it comes to scalability and flexibility because it can accommodate changing security needs and threats. That's why the threat intelligence portion of its core capabilities is so valuable because it gets the updates, the security threats, and it gets them quickly. It implements them into its platform and has those automated playbooks that can kick off when one of these scary, brand new zero-day attacks was just found in the wild. And, you know, Norton, I'm not trying to pick on any antivirus or anything. I'm just saying that one of them pushes out that signature and makes sure that, you know, threat intelligence feeds gets it pushed out as quickly as possible. So having something like SOAR, where it's constantly getting a threat intelligence feed, pushing out updates, pushing out patches, and, you know, that is really where it comes in. And just to show you, right, let's throw some numbers at you. So it's really compelling how much money SOAR is about to make everybody when you take a look at how much it's grown. Okay, so it reduces costs, it improves efficiency, it enhances security, and all of that leads to a return on investment. The global market itself by 2027 is supposed to be 2.3 billion. 3.8 billion in 2032. And the numbers just keep going up and up, right? The other thing here is that it's future-proof security. Future-proof security. So the scalability and adaptability of your organization to respond effectively to evolving cyber threats puts you ahead, right? It gives you a competitive advantage. Automating security operations enable faster response times, better risk mitigation, And it gives your organization that much more of a competitive advantage. You want to be able to proactively identify and address threats. You want to minimize potential damage. And you want to protect your assets. And that last thing I keep leaving you with, right, is the reporting. The reporting. Enhanced compliance. When it comes to being compliant, generating reports for your stakeholders, for your auditors, and even your third-party vendors that are asking you these questions before going into a merger, right? When your security teams are getting together. All of that sharing of your security configurations, your best practices, this is what we do, this is our security stack. If you have something that's already in place with the capabilities that SOAR does, then you can say, I'm covered on all of my bases. I have automated playbooks for every security scenario. I have efficient and effective incident response, log management capabilities, reporting, right? All of this stuff comes with SOAR, helps you respond to incidents faster, frees up your security team and your analysts and helps them get back on the front lines and respond to the things that matter. Get them back to threat hunting. Get them back to investigating and forensic analysis and root cause analysis and that kind of thing. So, I shared a lot with you guys. I shared a ton. I want you guys to know that I'm here for you. And so is Stormwind. If you have any questions based on topics like this, Stormwind offers so much more. We have over 260 engaging virtual instructor-led IT, cybersecurity, project management classes, you name it. And it's being constantly refreshed. New live streams are recorded all the time. And all of our classes come with labs, practice exams, study resources, and tons more. I mean, it's a fantastic platform. I teach several classes for Stormwinds, mostly the security related stuff. So if you're interested in things like Advanced Security Practitioner, CYSA, and you want to talk about these kinds of tools like SOAR and implementing these in your cloud environment, you know, Stormwind has the class for you. So, if you have any questions whatsoever about this webinar or future webinars, I highly suggest you reach out to my buddy Mike Fajan. He will answer any questions that you have. Guys, it's been fantastic sharing this time with you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining me for this webinar. I hope you gained some value from it and you gained some insight into some new technologies coming down the pipeline. And that's it. So I appreciate you guys. Until next time, stay happy and stay well, and happy holidays. Bye.